Good morning. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in. Big bombshells being spread around social media this morning. One, that Bruno Fernandes has rejected a brand new bumper deal worth £200,000 per week. The reason for him doing it is because of massive transfer demands or transfer requests that he has made to the club, that he wants to see essentially what the plans are moving forward, who we're going to buy, who we're going to purchase before he commits himself to a new big money deal. To take you through some of what's being, of course, we're going to take your views and take your opinions, go through your comments as well. Make sure you're smashing the like button, subscribing to the channel and clicking on the bell notification. This is what one of the reports says today. Bruno Fernandes is reportedly refusing to put pen to paper on a new lucrative 5-year contract unless he is given assurances about the club's future transfer plans. Fernandes cemented himself as one of the most important players, blah, 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 blah. The 26-year-old is currently on a 5.5-year deal. We'll go back to that in a minute, worth 100 grand a week. When he joined Man United, and accordingly, a report says Fernandes has been offered a new 5-year contract, which would see his wages increase to £200,000 per week. However, the report claims that Fernandes now wants to know how the club plans to continue progressing before he commits. The Portuguese international has recently helped United do what he did, blah, 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 blah. They don't really say much else in here. That's all it really says. He's demanded to know what the club's plans are, right? What a load of nonsense. What a load of nonsense. One, he's got 4 years remaining on his current deal. So Manchester United offering him a double your money deal now to keep him for 1 extra year, so they keep him until 2026, makes zero financial sense unless the player and his agent are flirting with other football clubs and a big money move away. But Man United are not in any fear of that at the minute. Clubs know how much Bruno Fernandes would cost teams, £150+ million as it stands right now because of his goal-scoring outputs. It's a huge commodity. And he has 4 years remaining on his deal with a 1-year extension clause at the end of it. So that element doesn't make too much sense right now. They're trying to make it sound like a big panic. I get him maybe not wanting to commit in 2.5 years' time, 3 years' time if we haven't progressed further. It's a fair thing for him to say. But the biggest reason that I think this is bullshit, the biggest reason that I think this is nonsense is because the reports come from the Sun. The reports come from the Sun. I wasn't even going to touch on this today. I saw like it being rumored. And then I just did a bit of research. So I'm like, okay, the Mirror's reporting on it and the Mail's reporting on it. But where did it come from? It came from the Sun. It came from the Sun newspaper that Bruno's refusing to sign a new deal until he has transfer plan assurance amid 200k a week talks. Remember, if he signed a new 200k a week deal now and extended his contract by 1 year, so a new 5-year deal, if he wants to leave next summer, there isn't really any difference. His market value will still remain about the same. It is an absolute joke of a story. It's an abomination of a story. It really, really is. Biggest load of nonsense. Biggest load of nonsense that I've read in my life. And again, people getting themselves into a panic about it. People, turmoil at the club. There's no turmoil. This is the Sun chatting guff. Pure guff. It's a destabilizing story. Isn't hard to destabilize Manchester United fans, to be honest with you, at the minute. A bunch of babies. Twisted Bubba here says, does Bruno have to honor his contract? No. No player has to honor their contract because clubs don't honor the contracts. If a club gives a manager or a player a 5-year deal and 2 years in wants to sell, they sell, don't they? So why should a player have to honor a contract that a club, when our clubs sell a player that we don't want, none of us cry about it, do we? Phil Jones has a contract. None of us care if he goes. So we've got to have the same energy when a player wants to leave. Now, there's a way of going about it. There's ensuring the club gets the right amount of money, refusing to play and all that sort of nonsense I'm not a fan of. If Bruno in 2 years' time says, I want to go Barcelona, Man United are not progressing, Barcelona are, that's on us. That's our fault for not making an environment that's conducive for success. And therefore your stars want to leave. That's about looking at ourselves and not anybody else. It's as simple as that for me. Would I take Lowe as Man United manager? What's his club record like? I do think there's a difference between being a good club manager and being a good international manager. So I'd have to research and see what his sort of club record looked like before I make a decision on that. But who knows? Maybe. You're not getting that for Bruno. That sort of cash you're talking about would get you Haaland, who is head and shoulder. Sorry, who would get you Haaland, who's not only head and shoulders, but in size and talent has levels above Bruno. See, for me, where I think you're wrong, Ian, is when you look at valuation, when you look at goals, there is not a midfield player in the world that does what Bruno Fernandes can do. And scoring goals comes with it's the highest premium. And for me, if you're Manchester United, you're slapping £150 million price tag on his head. Now, you may not get that total amount, but you're getting over £100 million, absolutely no problems whatsoever. You just are because of when he was scoring this level of goals, his current valuation with Forbes. Look at that. Yeah, his current valuation is £139 million on average with the leading consultancies. £139 million is his current valuation with leading consultancies around the world. So I'm £11 million off my guesstimation in my head without even researching it, because goals are the rarest commodity in the sport. Goals are rocking horse poo. And the guy has goals in abundance. So that's it. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. I have access to some of these consultancies, their databases are public, others are private, and you only have to go and look at them, and it's quite quick, simple, and easy to find out. Let's look at another one here that I use. See what it's saying here. Player valuations. Let's have a little butchers here. There's normally like a league table thing, right? There's normally like a league table thing here that you can check. It gives you like a little. Here we go. So at the moment, wow, it's interesting. Let's search this now. Yeah, so you've got KPMG having valued at 107 million. You've got CIES having valued at 169. Forbes having 39. Forbes having 142. It varies. You're getting over 100 mil for him, big money. But that doesn't change whether he signs a new deal or not. And that's the point I'm making here. It simply doesn't change anything along those lines. This deal in itself, Man United fans just need to calm down, because I'm not even sure there's new contract talks going on, let alone has he rejected them. I'm not even sure if that's happening. Terry, isn't this a good thing what Bruno is doing? He's actually trying to help Ollie get backed in the summer. If he is doing this, then yes. If he does this in a few months' time, absolutely. I agree with you categorically. If this is going on, if this is being done, then it's a very good thing for Manchester United. We all kicked off with Rooney a few years ago. Do you remember? And said him wanting reassurances of the club's future was disrespectful. It wasn't. It in fact was what we needed. And because we were still winning, we weren't looking at the real problems at Manchester United with as much detail as we do now. There wasn't the same sort of focus and want for sort of the granularity that we now seek when it comes to the ownership of Manchester United. Rooney was a trendsetter in that way. We need more players doing that. And do you know what? The next time Rashford's looking at a new deal, the next time Bruno's looking at a new deal, I want them to demand these things. I'm desperate for them to demand these things. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Bruno has zero commercial appeal. Valuation is too high for just footballing reasons. Twisted, I respect you, bro. But your opinion and my opinion on his valuation doesn't mean anything, because his valuation is set by the leading consultancies who the football clubs use to value their players. So, bro, you can think it's overpriced. I can think it's overpriced. but our opinion isn't worth more than the facts. And you may not think my house is valued at what it's valued at, but if that's what somebody's prepared to pay for it, if that's what the surveyors say it's worth, your opinion and my opinion mean nothing. And I think this is what you got to understand when it comes to the valuation and the financial side of football. Opinion means shit. It means nothing. It's not like I think Joe Bloggs is better than John Smith. That's great. That's fine. Even you could ignore stats if you want, if you do eye tests. When it comes to a player's valuation, the consultant price is set. The demand price is set. That's it. It's, everything's, an item's as valuable as people are willing to pay for it. If no club bids for him for that amount of money, then you're right. But the valuation is what you said there rather than the transfer fee. And that's what the valuation is. We can't get away from it. DJ here says, morning, Terry. I get this is a crap story because the Sun also wrote that Pulisic was looking to leave Chelsea as well, with United, Bayern and Liverpool apparently monitoring his situation. I just don't trust the Sun's stories. I really, really don't. But the reason I wanted to highlight this story is because a lot of fans are going to try and banter Man United with it. So if you see it, especially if you see a Liverpool fan, do a Liverpool fan a favor, throw them a bone and say, listen, guys, I know it's fun to banter Man United, but of course, no true Liverpool fan would want to banter Man United with news that was generated by the Sun or anybody from News Corp. So I think it's important that we have that. We have that education piece here. There's no doubt. Man like Indiana in the house says Bruno won't leave, but nothing wrong with a player having demands. They want to win things. Of course, forget like it's football. And like, oh, romance, football, oh, forget all that BS. Imagine you're in a job and your company is not investing in a new CEO. Terrible MD of marketing, terrible MD of commercials. And they're saying, look, we want to promote you into a senior salesperson's role. I want assurances. Well, who's going to be the MD? Who's going to run the commercial team? Who's going to be in charge of sailing the ship? It's okay, you give me a promotion and more money, but is it actually going to be more detrimental to my career? If it is, then I'm not taking the promotion. I'm looking for a new job. We shouldn't treat football players any differently just because they earn exorbitant amounts of money. They earn the money that's right for the industry they're in. Trust me, if you generated the money and had the unique talent that a football player had in a particular field, you would earn really good money as well. Like, you're talking unique talent here. You know what I mean? Thank you very much. As we're going to share the link for you guys to call in and have your say. Man like Slens says United's wage structure is a real mess. Bruno is arguably the current marquee player, so whatever he demands, they must meet. Yeah, and that's one of the big points as well. I do think he has marketability, not in the same way. Like, he ain't a good-looking geezer. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see him modeling. I don't see him modeling boxer shorts or anything. But I think he's idolized and he's outspoken. And those two things can be weaponized financially. You can certainly use him. Kids will want to be him in the playground. When children want to be you in the playground, you have marketability when it comes to clothing brands, when it comes to boots, when it comes to energy drinks, when it comes to selling products. Because if kids are going to idolize him and want to be him, and he puts himself out there in terms of his interviews, and that's how they'll market him. It's as simple as that. And I think he'll be up for it, because I think there is that arrogance within Bruno to want to be the star. And I kind of like that, because your team needs some egos in it. Just like we saw with Mr. Haaland, like we saw with Haaland last night, like we saw for many years in the Prem with the great Thierry Henry. You need that ego, you need that arrogance, you need that confidence. You need someone to be like, yo, look at me. Look at me. We have it with Pogba, and I love it. Man has Smurfs on his jeans, bruv. I think it was Smurfs, or was it The Simpsons? One of the two. One of the two. Love that. Absolutely love it. He's not ugly. I didn't say it was ugly. Maybe I did. What did I say? I wouldn't say he's good looking. I wouldn't say he's like... He ain't like Beckham. He ain't like Ronaldo. He's not like Mbappe. He's not like... Who's a good-looking baller? I'm trying to think of good-looking ballers. Sort of... Listen, he's more on the Peter Beardsley end of the spectrum as opposed to the Beckham end of the spectrum, if you get what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? That's where he stands. Bruno. I kind of agree. The hybrid gamer says Thierry Henry. Yeah, he was a star. He was a star. He was a star. He is violating. It's not violating to say that he's not as good looking as Beckham. Come on, it's okay. You can say about me. I'm not as good looking as Beckham. It's not an insult. It's the truth, bruv. Do you know what I mean? My body's not as good as Brad Pitt's. It's the truth. It doesn't make me feel bad because I know it's true. But I don't judge Bruno on how he looks. I judge him on how he plays football. But we're talking about commerciality, and this when you're not stunning looking, when you look like Freddie Ljungberg when he was a player, the Canio, when you look like Pogba, when you look like Rashford, when you're a good looking chap and you're desirable to both sexes, there's a different type of commerciality. When you're a football player that all the kids in the playground want to be, that's another type of commerciality. Some players have both, so they're worth even more money. Night Whisperer, long time no see in the comments section, my friend. Make sure you're all smashing that like button, people, right about now. I saw a comment from iTest. I want to know what it says. I'm always intrigued by what iTest has got to say. What? Yeah, the beard is good. He has a decent beard. I give you that. I can't find iTest comment now. Where's it gone? Has he deleted it? I love an iTest comment in the morning. Has he rejected the contract or is he stalling? If it's true he's more stalling, but they're making it sound like a rejection, I don't think it's got to those stages yet. I don't think it's even happening, in my opinion, as it stands right now. Where's it gone? Pogba is staying. Why don't Pogba stay and fight? Twisted, I really like you, but you do write some guff sometimes. Bruno hasn't said he's leaving. Bruno's got 4 years left on his deal. And even if even if this is true, he's just basically saying, I've signed, but I need to know who we're buying and what we're looking to do. Come on, Twisted. Come on, you're a smart man. You're a smart man. Where's iTest comment gone? Have you deleted it, iTest? Oh, no, look at that. He says Bruno's a snake. Ah! iTest, you're such a baby. You're such a little baby. Oh, I'm a baby. Oh, you're funny. You're funny, iTest. I'm going to share the link now on the Discord server for people to come on and have their say. I'm going to go do that right this second. Oh, you're funny, bro. I actually love you. I actually think I think I've fallen in love with iTest. I think I want to marry you. I do. I think I do want to marry you. I think you'd make my like a platonic marriage. I think you'd make my life entertaining. You just come out with. Do you know who you remind me of? Do you know who iTest reminds me of? Oops, pressed the wrong button. You all know who Cole Pilkington is. He's funny because he comes out with like nonsense. That's him, man. You're basically the football terraces version of Carl Pilkington, 110%. Link shared if you want to call in, if you want to have your say. Call in Bruno. Oh, look, Wesley's here. Wesley's copying now. We've got a little copycat. Terry, do you still think Jaden will join? I don't know. I'm not giving an opinion on that anymore. It triggers too many man. Too many man. Twisted is a troll. Twisted just likes to ask what he feels are difficult questions. Terry, would you stay? Be honest. No, not if we weren't looking to progress. So if let's say I had right now 3 years left on my Man United deal, and we weren't looking to bring in a Haaland or a Sancho, we weren't looking to bring in an Ndidi, I'd look to leave because my career is only going to last so long. Like Man United is here forever. Players have a sell-by date. So they have to move on and do what's right for them in their careers. The same as every other single human being has the right to do. We shouldn't treat footballers differently, in my opinion. Slens here says some reason why Ronaldo has managed to sneak into the GOAT conversation purely because he looks like he's carved by Zeus himself. What? Nah, I mean, Slens, Ronaldo's in the GOAT conversation because of the volume of goals he scored, bro. The guy got 311 La Liga goals in 290 odd games, bro. That's why he's in the GOAT conversation, brother. he's the highest goal-scoring football player in the history of the world. That's why he's in the conversation. Of course, looking gorgeous and attractive helps in certain areas, but nah, man, it's what he looks like. It's not just what he looks like; it's how he performs as well, bruv. There we go. Right, who am I getting first on the show? Bruno finally holding the board accountable. Love it. I hope he does that. I do hope he does that. I really, really do. Messi is clear. See, no. I haven't got involved in this debate. He isn't clear. He can be better, but he isn't clear. Clear suggests he's miles better. He ain't miles better. He can be better, and that's an opinion that I more than accept. But clear is crazy. Messi's clear of Beckham, Robin, Ribery, Hazard. Clear of Ronaldo? Nah, he could. I'm happy to say he's better. That doesn't trigger me because it's an opinion piece. But to say clear, say, yo, it doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? Nah, can't have it. Can't have it, bruv. Can't have it at Source Lens. Love you, bro, but can't have it. Let's do some calls here. Let's go to some of our first callers. We're gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with. I might go with the hybrid gamer because he's smiling and happy. Then I'm going to go Gabriel. Then I'm going to go Ad. Then I'm going to go Aaron. But like the hybrid gamer looks happy. Like this, once you see his face, this face is going to cheer you all up this morning. Hybrid gamer, welcome to the terrace. What you saying?
Welcome. Oh, thanks for having me on, Terry, mate.
It's all right.
How you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. You look happy.
Oh, well, I'm not really. I was supposed to go to work today. Got to the job and that. And the guy went to me, no, you're not supposed to be in today. So I've got up for nothing.
Well, at least you got a day off. At least you got a day off, mate.
Yeah. Well, I can go out with him shopping now. You know what I mean, bro?
Well, that's about all you can do in this world at the minute, mate. But listen, what did you bring up to say?
Well, I just wanted to say, who's going to win the Europa League, Terry?
Not Arsenal. No, do you know what? Look, Man United. Go on, mate. Go on.
Getting Olympiacos, but then we'll probably get you or Tottenham. You know how it is. Like, it's just one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, I think. Look, Man United are one of the front runners. If AC Milan beat us, they're a front runner. Spurs are always going to have an outside chance. But when you look at the Premier League teams in there, the Premier League teams really and truly should be looked at as the main favourites because we're just stronger than the other teams out there. We spent more money than all of them, but yeah, it all comes down to how seriously the English clubs take these competitions. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, and I think there is a definite. I mean, my granddad used to say there's a bleeding conspiracy against the Arsenal, and there is. You know what I mean? But I think it's Arsene Wenger's fault, isn't it? He used to monkey.
Listen. I think every fan base thinks there's a conspiracy against them, and Igal yesterday going viral over it because he was sitting there wearing his tinnitus and madness. Listen, bro, you enjoy it. You enjoy your day off, mate, and get home safe. And I'll speak to you again soon. Yeah. Sop, man, thanks very much, brother. All the best, mate. Thank you. Next up, Gabriel's back with us. Gabs, what you saying, bro?
I'm good, Terry. How are you?
I'm very, very well, mate. I'm very well. Bruno Fernandes supposedly rejecting a new contract. What do you make of it?
It's nonsense. It's media trying to sell paper. If you look at the Glazers' ownership, there's never been a player who's been offered a new contract that has 4 years left on their current deal. Every player that has received a new contract from the Glazers, they either in their last 2 years of their deal. Ronaldo was the only exception because he won the Ballon d'Or, and Fergie had agreed that he'd leave the following season. But I can't remember players since the Glazers have bought Man United that has received a new deal with 4 years. They usually run it out to about at least 18, 24, 12 months. Then it's either they sell the player or the player goes for a free. In Paul Pogba's case, or the players bought or released like Sanchez, for example. But yeah. I don't think he's received a new contract. And if there is a new contract, it's generally at the end of the season that if you notice, most of the times when players get their contracts renewed, it's usually at the beginning of the season or just when a season ends. It's rarely in the middle of the season. Right
Yeah,
now,
it just
the
doesn't.
team's
Yeah,
focus.
exactly. It doesn't add. The story doesn't add up as a collective story. It just doesn't make sense for it to be done now. What this feels like to me is the media
Yeah,
capitalizing on the toxic relationship Man United fans have with the club and with the Glazers and
yes,
with the manager.
yes,
It's like, see, look, we're so bad. Even our star
yes,
players leave. And it's if you're going to fall,
yes,
like it's like shame on you. Like I've got to a point where I almost praise the media for doing it now because people don't
yes.
have because people lack critical thinking skills. It's just Bruno's rejected a new deal. But we're fucked. I mean, look who's the sources, first of all. That should just help you in itself, man.
And if you actually look at it, over the last 2 months, Bruno is actually starting to receive the treatment Pogba used to receive. Like
Yes.
stories of his. Let's look at his record against the top six. Do you know that in the top six, only one player has better outputs than him from midfield, and that's Gundogan against teams in the top six. All the other players, he's superior than De Bruyne statistically, if you look at it, but only his stats are highlighted.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
and
it's
and and
so true.
so if you analyze it, I mean, there was the article of him having a bust up in, was it December, with Solskjaer, and he came out and he said, "Don't create friction between me and the manager. I love working with this manager. We have a great time. The environment." One thing as a United supporter, if you are stupid enough to believe conflict and all of that, that's your issue. There's one thing you cannot deny Solskjaer with. He's created a culture where the players enjoy going to work. Plain and simple. Luke Shaw is playing at a level few left back players are playing in world football right now because he simply has the backing of a manager. He has openly come out in the Sky Sports and BT Sports. I don't know if you saw his interview where he said Solskjaer told him he's he's in the top two finishers in the club. Did you
Yeah.
hear that interview?
No, I didn't.
So think about it, and logically, Luke Shaw's not the best finishers in the club, but literally a week later from releasing that interview, he scores the goal, and he
Yeah.
even said in that interview, Solskjaer told him that he's being told to drive forward more, to overlap Rashford more. There's no question about it why his stats have improved. The only time I would be concerned about Bruno leaving is if, like I said to you, personally, I am putting an expectancy of Solskjaer to deliver the title next year. Reason being, he's got the youngest average squad. From the time he's entered to the time it will be next year, Rashford will be about 24, turning 25. So
Mhm.
he's entering into, um, basically not his prime, just before he hits his prime. I'm not surprised that he's maintained his numbers from last year and even bettered them. I feel like he's having an underrated season. I've been very impressed with him this year, with what he's delivered statistically.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I hear you. Yeah.
yeah, you look at the entire team. Luke Shaw, by the time next season, will be about 25, 26 years old. So he's just entering his prime. Um, Maguire will be about 28 years old. You look at a majority of the team, they're no longer on their first contract as a professional footballer. They're in their
Yeah,
second contract.
I totally agree. And if he does stay, that expectations got to go up. But in terms of the Bruno
But
thing, sorry, go on,
yeah,
mate. Go on, mate.
yeah. But the one thing I'll say, beyond the board, beyond the board, the worst thing at Man United is a divided support base. I'll tell you why, Terry. Because the media, in a time where Liverpool are dog shit, let's be honest, they've lost 6 times in a row. But the top story right now trending is Bruno not signing a new contract, which is
Yeah,
false.
but listen, bros, there isn't a
Because the
divide.
media,
there isn't a divide amongst the majority of Man United fans. You've got Man United fans who support. What it is, it's well, there is a divide amongst some. A lot of the Man United fans at the minute, they prefer players over the club, and we know this. We've seen it for a long time. I don't really take their opinion too seriously. Anyone who says a Martial FC, I switch off from listening to now, because that means you put Martial's needs above the football club. That in itself is the definition of not being a supporter of the football club. If you're putting a player above the club on a basis, and with some Man United fans, they're just not looking at the bigger picture. You know, the irony in it is this: if this Bruno story was true, it's the Glazers and the board that he's demanding improve the squad. He isn't having to go at Ollie. So, or if we can't sign the level of player because they don't want to play for Ollie, it's still a shot at the board, because the board have got to make the decision to change the manager. So there's a part of me that wishes this story was true, because what Man United need is a few more examples of what Wayne Rooney did. The problem you have is that football players will take care of their family, and they'll take care of their future, and they'll take care of their legacy sometimes more than for David De Gea to sign a 350 grand a week deal. That's more important to him than Man United getting back on the right track. Because you know what, in another 10 years time, all the young United fans coming through won't even really know who David De Gea is. They won't really care, and we know that. Why? Because look how all the younger fans are treating Ollie right now. They all hate him. They think he's this, they think he's that. And he's a club legend. So footballers have got to take care of themselves first nowadays, in my opinion. They've got to get themselves into a position where they're securing their family's future. Gabs, thank you for having your say.
Can I just say one last thing before I leave? Yeah, my final point. You've summed up what you said perfectly. But the reason why I say the support base, Liverpool are going through one of the most torrid runs they've ever gone through as a club. But general consensus, nobody wants Klopp out. Liverpool, there's at least 6 players crying for new contract. Salah's agent last week, when Salah was substituted in the 60th minute, tweeted. Did you see what his agent tweeted?
Yes.
You understand? He liked the story of Salah, Real Madrid looking for him, and Barcelona. Ronaldo doesn't want to sign a new contract.
I get that. So what's the point you're making? I'm just trying to get to the point.
So my point is, the only way forward for us to succeed as a club is to stop calling Ollie out after a weekend of poor performance. Like, let's analyze a season for a season's sake. Let's actually back the team without our agenda of Martial FC, this FC. Let's, as supporters, just begin to say, okay, what can we do this season? Okay, we're second. Ollie, how can you win us the league? If you can't win us the league, then you move.
I agree. You're absolutely right. But reality check for all of us, that isn't happening. It's never, ever gonna. It's never gonna happen. Although it should, it won't.
It happened under Fergie.
No,
it finally happened under Fergie.
Bruv. Human beings are naturally narcissistic. It's become worse with social media. People crave the attention. I've got a friend who started using Twitter recently, and he literally says he loves posting controversial things because he gets a legitimate buzz out of the attention. It releases endorphins. It releases certain endorphins in your body. Like, oh wow, look at the attention. Some people hate attention, and it makes them feel horrible. Other people thrive off of it, and so you're not gonna people. I actually don't think a lot of these kind of social media people care about what they're actually saying. It's the reaction it gets. It's to get where I'm coming from. The Man United are just the subject matter, but they're not doing it for Man United's sake. They're doing it for the attention that it gives them. And that's why you're never going to get them to be on an even keel, because being on an even keel doesn't give them the kick that they need out of social media. Gabs, great call, mate. Thank you very much for coming on and having your say. Appreciate it loads. I'm going to go to some more callers in just a minute. It's funny, right? Someone here said to me, someone's put a thing in saying that Ronaldo is a good goal scorer like Messi, but Messi's a playmaker but gets the same amount of goals, right? So I'd had a little look. I'm a facts guy. So Lionel Messi in his career, 765 games, 658 goals, 289 assists. Very good. Outstanding. Ronaldo, who we're saying isn't a playmaker, 665 goals. I actually think it's over. Oh, no, plus that doesn't include the internationals, club goals. 227 assists. So I get the point. Messi's a better playmaker. But people make it sound like Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't created an exorbitant amount of goals as well. This is what I mean about these people that come out with these fact things. I actually heard someone say, like, oh, Ronaldo barely dribbles. Not at 35, 36. Go back and watch Ronaldo from the age of 17 till he was about 28. The geezer was immense. Different type of dribbler. But he was immense. And I always preferred Ronaldo because I like the directness. I like the way he did it. But that's an aesthetic thing. I prefer the way Cristiano plays football to Messi. But I know they're both great. I'm not polarized with it. But people say Ronaldo don't create. 200. How many more players can you find me in the world with more than 227 assists at club level? Go do it. Go find how many have got more. I bet you. And the man's a goal scorer first. And Ronaldo is a goal scorer by trade. But I think he's created more goals than most playmakers will ever create. Do you know what I'm saying? And people are like, nah, all he does is score. You man chat, honestly, your breath smells like eggy fart breath. It annoys me so much that people lie. Oh, let's do it live on the air now. Throw out some names of highly creative players. Let's do the test. Let's do the test now and let's see. Let's do the test now. Terry, let's not forget with 4 different teams. Ronaldo, yes, of course, he did it in different leagues as well. If this is true, but Bruno is a good thing, maybe the board will sit up and listen. Now, Shane, I don't think it's true, but if I want him to do it when he's signing his deal. Tell me some highly creative players. Ozil, let's do Ozil, right? Ozil's coming up. We're going to do this live on the. I wish I could share it all. I might share the screen in a second. So I share the screen. I will in a sec. Right, stats. Ozil, higher or lower? Higher or lower? All Ozil here, prime creator. 216. Prime creator Ozil. Below Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm going to do, someone says Rivaldo. Rivaldo's a good one. Rivaldo's a hard one, though, because he obviously played pre-2004. So, Ronaldo, to be fair, slightly. So it's harder because I'm not sure if they're going to count all the assists in the leagues he was in before that. Yes, darling. I'm too noisy? Oh, I'll be quiet then. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet, yeah? Are you both coming in here now? That's great. Jackson, what are you doing? Nah, son. You can't be in here, bruv. You're going to touch all my lights and everything. You pulled all the lights down the other day. I was crying. What are you doing? What are you doing, Munchkin? Bye-bye. He needs a haircut so bad, honestly. He looks like a tramp. So Rivaldo. See, it only shows Rivaldo as having like 89 assists. I don't trust that stat. Let's throw some. Do you know who we'll do? Let's do Ryan Giggs. Sorry about that. Kid's coming in. Let's do Ryan Giggsy boy. Let's see it more or less. No, Ronaldo's not a playmaker. Ronaldo don't create. Dickheads. I'm sorry. Just people chat so much fart. I don't like stats. Don't like them. Right. Ryan Giggs. All the assists. Said here he assisted his brother. No, he didn't really. Ryan Giggs, chief assister, 249. So slightly more. But Matt Paisley was 40, bruv. 40. It's crazy. Come on, throw me some more names here. David Silva. That's a good one. David Silva. Chief playmaker. Does all the play of the making. Better than Ronaldo. That's what you'll hear from people. Better than Ronaldo at creating. Let's see if he is. He might be, and I'm going to look like a doofus, but 178. Get out of here. Thomas Muller. Let's do Thomas Muller. Come on. No one's found me one yet. And I'm talking about exorbitantly more. Like, I'm going to say Thomas Muller. There ain't none, bruv. Someone says Steven Gerrard. I'm not even checking Gerrard. Gerrard ain't nowhere near it, bruv. Giving me Gerrard. Thomas Muller. 208. 208. Hey! Right. Someone says, oh, that's a good one. Cesc Fabregas in Ceci Boy. Francisco, he's such a, but he can't have. He didn't play. He hasn't played long enough. Like his legs, body gave up on him. He can't have. He can't be anywhere near it. Oh, not bad, 206 assists. He plays 700 games. Wow, no, I'm not checking Mata. I'm not checking. No, Xavi won't. Try Zaha. I love that. Definitely not. Come on, see, none of you have found Neymar's too young yet. Still, I don't think he can be anywhere near it yet. Let's try KDB. Let's try. No, he's too young as well. He's too young. Come on, see, none of you have found anyone. So stop chatting shit about Ronnie, bruv. You're all dumb. Dumb. I'm sorry. Let's get some more of you on here, man. Who we're going to get on? We're going to bring in Ads. We're going to bring in Pab. We're going to bring in Slens. We're going to bring in a bit of Aaron. How's it going, gentlemen?
It's not bad,
yeah, I'm good, man.
Good.
I'm
Very,
sorry.
very good.
I can't do the Ronaldo don't create nonsense, bruv. It's a madness. It's a madness.
Yeah, I don't get why Ronaldo's got so much hate, to be honest. But yeah, Terry, I'm glad to be on here today because I need some more positivity after last night's performance, mate. It was shocking.
Oh, what did Doncaster lose? I don't check, bruv. Did Doncaster lose?
But basically, I'll give you a short paragraph. 1-0 loss against Crewe. We got two of our best players injured. Referee's a Crewe fan. Our goal was disallowed and it was onside. Their goal was allowed. It was offside.
So what you're saying is you weren't good enough.
Basically, well, to be fair, I will give Crewe credit. They did possess us off the ball. They did possess us on the ball. We didn't create enough. We have no recognised striker as well. Both our strikers are injured, and we had to play Magic Gomez up front, who's a Leeds United reject. So,
there we go.
not
Sound like
exactly
an Arsenal fan there. Sound like an Arsenal
No,
fan
you
there.
do.
Where's the Aubameyang?
Ad, what do you make of sort of the Bruno? Are you here to speak Bruno or are you here to speak Messi Ronaldo?
No, I'm here to speak Bruno, bro.
Go on, mate.
Listen, if it is true, what I'll say is, if it were to happen, which I don't think it will, there's only two people who will get the blame. Obviously, Oli and Bruno Fernandes. Is pretty simple. That is the case, and it's because of these 12-year-olds in our fan base who just can't accept the board is the main problem. But the thing is, he wouldn't leave because he hates the club. I think he'd leave the club loving it, but he has a winning mentality, and there's nothing dirty or bad about winning. So if he were to leave, would I be upset? Yes, because we've lost a key player in our team. But it's good for him and for your career to move and evaluate and get better. You need to move sometimes, and we've seen that in recent years with certain players. But I don't think it will happen. I think he's going to definitely leave a legacy no matter what, because he's just that player who just leaves his mark at a team. Sporting won't forget him for what he's done to them, and he's not going to get forgotten at Manchester United if he does leave. But I don't think it's happening because I look at all these people and they always rant and rave about how good Bruno is when he has a really good run of form. And then when he has a bad game, they switch off and do a Pogba on him, say that he should leave our club right now. And, he doesn't really look like he's playing for us. And that's simply the facts. It's simply the facts. And I've seen it with my own two eyes. And I want to talk about Oli as well. Luke Shaw is the best left back in the league at the moment. And it's not because of him as a player. It's because of the manager and himself. Them two have come together and made something happen. I said to you, Terry, remember when I wasn't even known in this community at all, when my name was the Real Stacey, I sent a super chat through and I said, Oli must have bettered some players' games. Last season, Fred was on fire, Luke Shaw was on fire, Martial was on fire. He's made all these players' games better. Of course, they're going to have inconsistent patches. Rashford's going through it right now. Fred's going through it right now. But watch all of these players get back on their feet once they either have a break or people in their team start functioning themselves and realizing that they've been having to do all the hard work at the start of the season. Because I'll tell you this right now, there are underrated players in our team and there are some players in our team who aren't good enough. But they say they're not good enough, but we were giving them all this praise at the start of the season. So I'd say keep the same energy personally.
A lot of the Oli outers put themselves into a really kind of interesting position because they... 1 minute they're saying the squad should be a better manager wins the league with this squad. The next minute they're saying like Pogba has to play with trash. So what is it? Like you can't; those two things cannot coexist at the same time. Ites here says Bruno is a snake. Get him out. How can you reject 200k a week? Do you know what I love about this comment? All right, it demonstrates how mad eye test is. It's the opposite of being a snake. It's literally saying, listen, I don't just want your money. I want to be successful here. So I'd rather not hemorrhage the club an extra, what's 100 grand a week over a year, an extra £5 million a year. I don't want to take if we're not going to progress. I'd rather just leave and go somewhere else. That's not being a snake. That's actually treating the club with the utmost. If it is true, it's treating the club and yourself with pure respect. I test. The problem with you, because you're a little flip-flop whore. You know what I mean? You just whore yourself up for the most.
I was going to say.
You're the snake here, bro. You've got no self-respect. So that's your new nickname now. You're an opinion whore. That's all you are, bro. You're like, oh, what opinion is going to get me the most amount of dick today? And it's like, that's what you do, bro. Honestly, you're out here hunting it, bro. You're hunting it. You're just a whore for it. But listen, if that's what you get your kicks out of, bro, more power to you, man. Like Slen's in the house. What you saying, bro?
Yes, bro. Now I was gonna weigh in on the Bruno thing, man. Obviously, I think the report is obviously just stinks, man. It's probably not true, but today's a slow news day because apparently Pulisic and Werner want to leave as well. So I have to ignore it. But when it comes to these people, right, what makes Bruno so great for me, man, is his mentality, right? Like, his mentality is elite. Like, at 21 years old, 22 years old, this guy was in the Italy League, Serie A, barely showing himself. Like, slowly started improving because of his mentality, right? So if this guy comes out one day and says, listen, like, I want to leave. As a fan base, yeah, instead of saying, oh, snake, oh, I hate this guy. Look at Arsenal, right? Van Persie. Van Persie is a perfect example of someone who woke up the fan base. Because when he wanted to leave, the fan base obviously at first were like, oh, he's a snake, whatever. But then they realized, listen, this guy is leaving because the ambitions of the board are not matching his. You need people like Bruno to be like someone who catches the board out, someone who holds them accountable for their actions. Because his mentality, you can tell on the pitch, man. Even when he's out of the pitch, he's on the bench. He was standing behind Oli being a manager. Like, this guy's mentality is top. That's what makes him so great. I think if he was in my team, watching him week in, week out, I would struggle, honestly, because I'm not a big fan of him. But what I love about him is his mentality, bro. Like, he's always trying. It's a very underrated trait, honestly, because I love Eden Hazard, right? I know Terry has opinions about Eden. I love Eden Hazard, right? This is one of my favorite players. But if he was someone who tried, who week in, week out was in the training ground working on himself, he'd be one of the best players in the world. But he admits himself, I'm the kind of guy who I don't care about training. He even called it. He's like, so someone asked him, why don't you work as hard in training? Because listen, I don't care about you. For me, it's all about on the pitch. I love having the ball in my feet and doing bits. But that's what I'm saying. These people check your board. They check your club.
And do you know what's interesting, right? When you say that, I understand people's frustrations with Bruno Fernandes because he does make mistakes at times and we want him to be perfect. I would take 11 Brunos, and I'm talking about before any of the silly people in the comments going, you couldn't win with, he wouldn't be any good in goal. I'm talking about 11 players with Bruno's ability and mentality over 11 Eden Hazards. Eden Hazard is clear in terms of technical ability. I agree with that. But as you've just said, it's that extra 10% you need to be continually consistent and to prolong your career. One of the reasons that Wayne Rooney, for me, died out at 28, 29, he didn't look after himself and his body fell apart. If he would have been in shape, ripped, lean, healthy eating, he would still probably be playing at a decent level now. The problem is he did a bit of a Ricky Hatton, you know.
Terry, you know Mourinho.
Down in weight, not focusing on himself, and it's a mentality thing. Rooney, for me, worked hard in training on his football, didn't work on himself, and his body fell apart. Hazard, for me, like, I know people like make a joke about the weight side of things. I do think his weight issues and his lack of training is one of the reasons why he keeps getting these injuries now as he's getting older.
Yeah. But you know, Terry, I was gonna say, you made a good point about 11 Brunos. You know what Mourinho once said? When he brought in Azpilicueta into the team and dropped Ashley Cole, the greatest left back I've ever seen in my time, yeah? Did you know what he said? He said, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, when it comes to winning the league, if I had 11 Aspies, I'd be running away with the league. And you know what? Like, listen, people hate to think of work rate and passion and all of that stuff, but at the end of the day, it has to be an attribute of every single player. When you have the big games, when you have the finals, the final that I love so much, the Munich one, every single player had the passion. Every single player had the running, had the bang in the chest. Do you know, that's what we need.
Well, look at Man City at the moment. Just watch their games and watch how hard they all work when they lose possession to get back into place and to defend well. That's hard work. That's passion. That's desire. Without passion and desire and work rate, Pep's system doesn't work. Watch Nagelsmann's system tonight. Work rate, energy, running, covering positions, all the what I call the dog work of football, without the skills and the ability, but they don't have the want to put that level of effort in. And that's why some of those players get more criticism in the media from pundits, but especially from the pros that see it and they're like, you are twice the player. Joe Bloggs, you're twice the player John Smith is, but you don't put a shift in. And it lets the team down. And these people see it. And we all have different professions or areas of the world that we work in or we're learning in. And I used to see there's a kid in my class at school, brightest kid in the class. Teachers despised him, though. The reason they really didn't like him is because he was the brightest kid and he never put any effort in. And it wound them up because they were like, do you know how special you could be? Do you know what you could achieve if you just put the effort in? It gets to people. Pav's with us as well. What are you saying, Pav?
Yeah, I'll just come to speak up about Bruno. So you done a show not too long ago where you said that Bruno might be looking to go elsewhere because obviously if the club's ambitions aren't to win trophies, then is there any point in him signing a new contract? It's the same again. Like, why would a player who wants to win trophies, it's not always about the money for some people. Why would he want to stay at a club whose main objective is to make as much money as possible and just to obtain maybe top 4 and that's it? Like a player like Bruno who puts everything into his game deserves to win a trophy. Someone like Pogba deserves to win a trophy. Someone like Rashford deserves to win a trophy. Like, I wouldn't be upset if this guy didn't sign a new contract and maybe a year or so later wanted to move clubs because someone like him deserves to win a trophy. And when your own fan base attacks a player who puts in performances, like, why does he need to stay here? Like, you're attacking him for no reason every week. You call him a stat padder. But I tell you this, if this guy was playing for a Juventus, Barca, Madrid or Bayern, doing what he's doing now at our club, these same fans who attack him would be begging for this guy to come to our club. The reason why they attack him is the guy who come on your show a couple of months ago is because he kept Ollie in a job multiple times. That's the reason why people hate him. But yeah, like if he doesn't sign a new contract, it's no biggie. Like I've come to terms with what this club is. It's just they just want to, you know what I mean, want to make money.
I'm interested, based on you said there, like people that like his stat pad, all this. It's a comment here from Daniel that says Bruno is a hard worker. I give him that, but honestly, he is as skilled as any other midfielder in the league. So let me just, where we know this isn't true, and what happens is people then become fixated on the 2 or 3 things that he's not amazing at, or the 1 or 2 mistakes he makes in a game. Man United don't have a system according to most football fans. So how is a player who's working in no system, that's surrounded by average players, that has a PE teacher as a manager, and who has no more technical ability, according to you, than Andreas Pereira or Jesse Lingard, any other player in the league? Why is he one of the highest creators in the league? And why is nobody else scoring goals, outside of penalties even, at the same rate as Bruno Fernandes in the last 12 months? In fact, the last 3 years consistently in European football. To say there's nothing special about him in terms of his footballing ability or his technique, it just can't be true. I heard a Man United fan, I'm not sure who it was, I watched a lot of streams from a lot of people because obviously I like the opinions, who basically said that Bruno is doing nothing different for Man United. Like we're doing nothing different with Bruno in our team than prior to him coming. And I'm like, well, why wasn't Pereira scoring all these goals? Like, we literally score more goals as a team. We're more creative. We're better. He's a better finisher. And I'm happy to say that maybe, okay, his finishing ability is what's improved this. But why would you not want that? You know, there is not a midfield player in the world. Gundogan's scoring a lot of goals this season, but I feel like Gundogan's having a really good year, and then it will disappear again next season, if that makes sense, where Bruno Fernandes consistently for 3 years has been scoring at these rates. So for me, it's quite clear. If no other player is producing the same level of goals and assists as him in the league, plus we're in a system that's shit, according to the same fans, it doesn't compute for me. It doesn't compute, and it doesn't make sense. If you brought in a better manager with better technical ability, I'm not saying we should sack Ollie right now. If we did, you'd see an even better Bruno Fernandes. You'd see an even better Pogba. You'd see an even better Martial. All of our better players would improve, there's no doubt. But to act like he's not very good is just, he's creating more big chances this year in the league than KDB per 90 minutes. And I'm not saying he's better than KDB at creating. But if he's so bad, he'd be nowhere. We're not seeing the bad midfielders. What's Danny Ceballos done? Do you know what I mean? Nothing.
Yeah.
Terry, can I ask you a question, Terry? Do you think a player could be at the top, like what I would say, the top 3 or 4 players in the league without being technically like gifted? Like with purely just being someone who's got a great footballing IQ, someone he's great at finishing for me. He's always in the right place, and you know what? He forces situations. I'm not gonna lie, because he's got the runners of Rashford and Greenwood. He knows these guys will make the run for him, so he forces the issue. I think that's what makes him brilliant for me. Like people might slate him for it. I think it's a compliment. I don't think it's something you slate him for.
For me, I agree with you. Yes, I don't think he's as technically gifted on the ball as Bruno as KDB, and I wouldn't argue that he is. But that doesn't mean I don't think he's better. For me, what Bruno Fernandes gives you is something even is just the rarity of him is out of this world. I think you could name, if you actually did the study, there's more creative midfielders than there are creative and goal scoring midfielders. Bruno, for all his lack of ability, creates about the same rate as all the other elite end creators, but he outscores them all exponentially. So if you look at his goal ratio to their goal ratio and their assist and creativity ratio to his key skill is so superior in comparison to their key skill over him. So you combine those two things together, I can then forgive the things that he's not good at because of everything else that I get. And very rarely in football do you find a player, and there are handfuls of them, who come in and they're like superior in 2 or 3 areas and then very good everywhere else. They're so rare. You're always going to find that in players. And I say this to people all the time. You might, I want Martinez, or I want Haaland, or I want this. When they become your player, you notice their mistakes and flaws more, and you want them to be perfect. Football fans have got to get into the understanding in their minds, in the realization that you're never going to get the perfect football player, or every now and then one comes along, but they're rocking horse poo. So for me, Bruno Fernandes, I don't even think he's technically bad. There are just people that are technically better than him. Yeah. It's almost, we live in a polarized world. We live in a polarized world where it's like, I think KDB's better, so that means Bruno shit. I think Ndombele is better at dribbling. That means Bruno shit. It's like, nah, Ndombele's better at dribbling. Cool, but Bruno's the better overall player. I wouldn't swap him for love nor money. We're going to throw some more callers in videos as well. Now, man, like eye test is with us. What you said before we go to eye test, everyone tuning in, we've got loads of new viewers in the last 10 minutes. Make sure you're smashing the like button. Subscribe to the Football Series. We're here talking about the Bruno Fernandes news as well. We are calling it BS. It's from the Sun. The Sun newspaper. We're now getting into a discussion about Bruno.
The Sun's got more truth than a guest on Jeremy Kyl's show. It's
eye test. What you saying, mate?
So I want to ask a question because a lot of people compare Bruno Fernandes to Eric Cantona. Yeah. So I want to ask the question: if Bruno Fernandes leaves, does he even leave a bigger legacy than Alexis Sanchez at Arsenal and Coutinho at Liverpool? Considering he's won no trophies.
Okay, so what you've done there is it's a very smart attempt at trying to downplay. So when people talk about the impact that he's had as Cantona, nobody is claiming his legacy is as strong as Eric Cantona. What they're comparing it to is the level of improvement within the team. So you've got to remember, Cantona came in and Man United at that point were a higher status than what they were when Ollie took over at Manchester United in terms of where they were in the league, the overall quality of their squad, etc. Cantona came in and he elevated the team to titles, but the improvement in the side was palpable as soon as he walked in. He settled straight away and lifted the team. We've seen similar things with Bruno. The difference is Bruno's in a weaker team overall. You know, barring De Gea, Schmeichel, you could turn around and say fairly similar. We haven't got centre-backs as good as Pallister and Bruce. We haven't got full-backs that were as good as, well, Gary Neville came in a bit later, but it was Paul Parker and the Dennis Irwins of this world. We don't have midfielders as good as Brian Robson and the Roy Keanes and the guys of that level. You know, we don't have creators on our wings even at the same standard as the Konchesky of this world. So overall, there was a stronger squad that Cantona came into than what Bruno Fernandes is in right now. If you throw in a world-class centre-back, another world-class midfielder, and a couple of extra creators in this team, you may see Man United challenging towards those titles with greater gusto. But of course, The legacy that if Bruno was to leave this summer, would he have as good a legacy as Eric Cantona? No, nobody's once claimed that's true. Secondly, would he have a bigger legacy at Man United than Coutinho has at Liverpool or Alex Sanchez at Arsenal? Probably not. If he keeps scoring at this rate for 3 or 4 years and then leaves and we don't win anything, then his legacy will be about the same as those guys. A really good standout player, but playing in a team that wasn't good enough to win the major honours. That's it. Like, no one's denying that Alexis Sanchez wasn't world-class. Nobody's denying that Coutinho wasn't brilliant, but it's about the team that you play in. It's about the team.
You know what? I'll add to that. I'll add to that. And what I will say is, I don't think Bruno will leave a legacy like Eric Cantona. I think Bruno, if he's leaving in a couple of years, I think he's going to leave an impact. Like, I'm going to use me as an example. We got rid of Ben Whiteman, and we had no gap. We had a massive gap in our midfield in terms of quality. We got John Bostock, and when you see him on the pitch, he's man against boys. It's an up-class in quality. When Bruno Fernandes came into Manchester United, he was coming into a midfield that had Paul Pogba, it had McTominay, it had the likes of Fred, it had Pereira, it had Lingard. It was going into a midfield that didn't have the quality of past Man United sides. Bruno Fernandes came in and upped the quality. He upped the quality of midfield, and that's the kind of quality that Man U fans are crying out for, and they're crying out for the board to do. But when you look at the situation, when you look at what's happening, I don't think it's true. But if it is true and Bruno Fernandes is leaving in a couple of years, it's because of the Glazers' ambition. And the reason why I say that is you look at the other stories going around today. Cavani's possibly leaving in the summer for Boca Juniors. Man United, according to one article, are looking for a goalkeeper. In my opinion, they're looking in the wrong areas for new players. And with Bruno Fernandes, if he does leave in a couple of years, it's only going to get worse. And it's like Arsenal. The Glazers are trying to make fans demote their ambitions when the fans shouldn't be doing that, because they expect the best for their clubs. So that the owners need to learn to aspire those ambitions rather than demote them, because it just makes a mockery.
I don't think things will get worse. I don't think things will get worse, because instead of building the team around one man, when one man runs the whole thing and goes wherever he wants, we're going to build a team, a proper team where everyone's, disciplined in their roles.
Who are you going to build a team around there when Bruno's gone? Rashford, Greenwood, Martial?
Aaron, 1 second. So you suddenly, again, I keep telling you this. I mean, you've got something wrong with your device. Your sound has gone awful. I don't know what. Have you dropped it in the toilet or something?
You see, my phone got rubbed, but we won't talk about that. We won't.
Okay, I'm not even throwing salt. Literally, what you call on now, you said such a clear line. Now it's awful. So it's hard to understand you. But you suddenly think that the board are going to go, right, Bruno's going to leave, and now what we're going to do is build the best squad we've had in 10 years. It's really balanced and is going to be the best. What gives you the confidence that they're going to do this, eye test?
Okay. I used the Coutinho example for example, yeah? And
no. I don't want an example. What gives you the confidence the board are going to do this?
Yeah, that's what I'm giving. That's what I'm telling you why I have the confidence, yeah? Because Klopp isn't under a good board. No one can tell me Liverpool's board and the way they run the club is good. Is it even better than Man United? I wouldn't say so. Of course, you know what? They have Klopp.
Oh my God.
They have Klopp. Yeah, and Klopp was able to build an amazing side that won the Champions League, that won the Premier League. Yeah, without Coutinho, they sold Coutinho, who was their main man. Yeah, and they used his funds to get to build the team.
Again, I'm stopping you right there. We can't actually hear you, Test, but we have to stop you right there, because the one thing FSG do, which is better than the Glazer straight away, is every penny they raise through the sale of players goes back into their squad. Man United doesn't. Man United don't spend it. So straight away, your entire theory capitulates, disapparates, evolves, turns into dust, because what you just said isn't true, eye test. It really isn't. So
you know what, Terry? I'll back that up with evidence.
Aaron, 1 second. Slend, you were going to say something, mate. Go on.
Yeah, I just was going to say, when it comes to comparisons, man, I hate when we equate someone's success to the main player, to the marquee player. Because if you're gonna spew out Cantona, which by the way I dislike that comparison. That guy he's a different level. Like you can't compare him to so many. Listen, 23 years without trophy. United came in. He came in and won 3 in a row, I think. So let's not equate. But if you're going to compare players, I'm going to play your game as well. So do you consider Alan Shearer someone who's like a less lower striker? Because he was compared to Bruno, who's someone as a cam. He is one of the best in the sector, you could argue, in the Premier League, right? This season and even parts of last season. And Alan Shearer, similarly, when it comes to numbers and output, he's also one of the best. Are you going to look at Shearer any less because he didn't win a Premier League or win a lot of trophies with Newcastle?
He did win a Premier League.
I don't. That's why. No, with Newcastle, you have to learn. He won it with Blackburn, not with Newcastle. If you look at Newcastle fans, you think they're going to be like, "Oh, I dislike him because he never won a Premier League." That's not like. I hate when you equate success to one player because it doesn't take one player. It takes an organization. It takes a manager. It takes, as Terry was talking about, the wingers. Takes defenders. It's not all about one player, bro. You can't equate it to one player.
Where you're right as well. It's one of the biggest. The Harry Maguire situation is perpetuated by 2 things. One, we spent 80 million on him when we should have spent 50 million on him. Board's fault. Double-ended Board's fault. One, they agreed to the deal. Secondly, they could have got him a year early for 50 million. But it's the way it was presented and the way fans allowed themselves to gush over it. Fans were like, it's going to be, oh my God, same price as Van Dijk. It means he's going to be as good as Van Dijk. It means we're gonna see that final improvement. When Van Dijk came in, you just saw Liverpool go to another level. The fans, stupidly in their own minds, were like, we're going to get the same impact. We're going to see the same improvement. It's like, are you dumb, bruv? Like, again, we're doing it with the Eric Cantona thing. I understand the comparisons in terms of someone coming in and being that good instantly, elevating us, more than doubling our win ratio, pushing us up further up in the league. I get what, statistically the outputs were the same. But then you've got to look at context. Who the manager is. We had Fergie then compared to Ollie now. Secondly, the overall squad Cantona was going into was better. So you put those 2. So Cantona would have got, if Cantona, we go back now to the early 90s and take that Cantona and put him in this team and take Bruno out, we're still not winning the league because we're not good enough overall to do it. And it's like you said, if Alan Shearer would have joined Manchester United instead of Newcastle, one, we wouldn't have got Ollie. But I would have, honestly, if I go back in the time machine and say Shearer over Ollie, I'd have taken Shearer. Shearer would have won titles with Manchester United, in my opinion. We might have even won more in Europe because he was the best striker in the league. Shearer, for me, just made a mistake. Maybe not in his own personal world, but as a career, he made a mistake picking Newcastle over Man United. But you've got to go back contextually. When he chose Newcastle, they were right up there with Man United in the league. It's just the way the club then went on to be run over the next 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Man United pulled away. All he did was make the wrong decision and join the wrong club at the wrong time. It's like Alexis Sanchez and Ozil. They shouldn't have joined Arsenal when they did, but everybody still thought back in those days when they signed that Arsenal were going to come back, and they just made the wrong decision. Sorry, go on, Test.
Could you bring someone on? Could you bring Z on? He backs me on this. Z.
Who?
Z.
Who's Z?
I think it's Z. I don't know if he's in the backstage.
Oh, he's in the back. I can't bring him on here in the back. Oh, Z's on now.
Why do you need someone to back you, bro? What's going on, man?
You know what I will say, though, on Test's point about how Klopp built a Premier League winning squad? I've got a couple of examples of that. He actually went to the board and said, I need a top quality centre-back. Because let's face it, a few years before, the year before Van Dijk came in, Liverpool's defence was just as bad as Arsenal's. So he went, I want a centre-back. They gave him 75 million, go get Van Dijk, go put an offer in that says make Southampton go, all right, goodbye. And then he said, I need a new goalkeeper because I've got Mignolet and I've got Carrier. I've got clowns between the sticks. And he said, go get Alisson. They got the money and they got Alisson. The reason why I Test, now respect your opinion, bro, you're a decent guy, man. The reason why Klopp has built a winning squad is because the board have backed him to get the players he wants. Solskjaer wanted Grealish. He wants Haaland. What did they do? They gave him Cavani. They gave him Tellers, which is a good signing. It's made sure Luke Shaw compete. They've made him get Palestri, who's one for the future, and he's got Diallo, who's one for the future and is a very good talent. So they haven't properly backed him again, and that's the difference why Klopp built a trophy-winning squad. But I respect your opinion, Ites. You're a decent guy, but that's where your logic is, in my opinion.
Ites, can I just say something to you? Like, how old are you?
Me,
19.
Like, all right, your age, right? I don't think you've got any knowledge about how our clubs run. Honestly, like the amount of times you come on here and speak, no offense, but I know Terry won't say this because he respects everyone's opinions. But sometimes when I listen to your opinions, I honestly think they belong in a bin bag. Like, I don't understand half the time what you're saying. Like, you're trying to say that the Glazers and the board run our club better than the.
No. Shall I tell you what?
Bro, you honestly chat a load of rubbish half the time you come on it.
No, 2 seconds. There was a similar situation.
I literally think you come on here to troll, bro.
Nah, I remember you calling in a couple weeks ago when there was a similar situation with Pogba. He was killing him. Now you want to.
Bro, I didn't kill Pogba. I said if Mino Raiola wants him out, go. Like, why would you want a guy at a club whose agent wants to constantly take him out of the club, who constantly speaks, who constantly puts bad publicity about the club? Why would you want a player? If the player don't want to be here, then he can go. There's nothing against Pogba. The guy's a world-class player.
Yeah,
I've never said that. I've never wanted Pogba at the club.
Guys, we're getting close to the end of the show here. I got Z on the line. Z, what you saying, mate?
Can you hear me properly? I don't know.
Yes, bro.
No.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'm picking up on where everyone's saying about Pogba. Do Man United fans not want Haaland at the club? Are they not see what Haaland's doing at Dortmund, saying sly comments about Real Madrid and saying, you know, his agent constantly talking about he wants to move him away from the club? If you see the history of Zlatan and how Mino has handled Zlatan throughout his career, you'd see he's doing the same thing with Haaland. So Man United fans saying they want Haaland at the club are being hypocrites. And to also
in what regard?
Because the simple fact of the
what?
matter is, Haaland comes with Mino.
Bro, listen,
Mino.
Mate, if you watch the show a lot, brother, I know you do, and I must have said it 100 times on here. I love the idea of Haaland, but the fear factor is that you're attached to Mino, and we know what's going to happen if he comes along. We know in 2 years' time he's going to be offering him for rivals and everything else. So yeah, you if you get into bed with Haaland, you're getting back into bed with Mino. There's no doubt about it. You just need a strong club to be able to manage that. And the problem with our board is they're too weak to manage those relationships. They're the biggest problem. They really are. But I hear you on that point. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason why Mino's not at any other. There's a reason why Mino hasn't got a play at Real Madrid. There's a reason why Pep is not going to go for Haaland. There's a reason why, you know, most of Mino's players are in the Italian league. There's a reason for that, because the simple fact that he can't deal with these bigger clubs. And picking up on the Bruno point was, how do Man United fans feel? Like, I hear a lot of Man United fans talking about, you know, this is different to the Pogba situation. Let me take even further back. Is it different to the Wayne Rooney situation when Wayne Rooney was questioning, you know, the ambition of the club? What has Bruno done? He hasn't won us no silverware. His impact to United is nothing like Cantona's. Let's make that correct. It's similar to what Sanchez done at Arsenal, if we're going to be honest, right? Because we ain't doing nothing different to what we've been doing. And it's not his fault. But it's the fans that have created this motion that this guy is Cantona, and it's made us blind because we've ignored everything this board has been doing. Even when we were first, we ignored everything this board has done.
Listen, Z, you're never going to find someone. Well, you're not going to find me defending the Glazers. The Cantona thing has always been a stretch. There's no doubt about that. He hasn't done what he's done. So I think but what I would say to people is this. I wouldn't hate, what I find from someone like I Test is he hates on Bruno because he hears a fan say, I think he's as good as Cantona. That's hate on the fan. It's not Bruno's fault. Bruno isn't out there. If Bruno was out there making the claims, putting his collar up saying, I'm the new Cantona, then maybe this have a pop at him. But he isn't doing that. The other point you're making, what's the difference between what Bruno is doing here and what Pogba is doing is I don't think this story is true. I think this is the Sun making up nonsense as an example. But to your Rooney point, I wasn't a fan of what Rooney did when he did it, and I was disgusted with him. But that's because I wasn't focused on what the big problem at Manchester United was, and that was the board and the owners. We need fans. We need players to stand up and say something and refuse to sign new deals if they're not happy with the direction the club is going in. And I've said about Pogba, again, I don't represent everybody's opinions on the football terrace, but my view's always been simple. I don't blame Pogba for wanting to leave. there's a way of which you go about it. So I think Paul Pogba is right to want to leave because you've only got a certain amount of time left. Everyone's got a shelf life in terms of their career. And Pogba's getting towards the latter end of his 20s, which means he hasn't got that long left, right? You never quite know when a player's body is going to say you're done. He could hit, with his injury record, he could hit 31, 32 and he can't play at the highest level anymore. So I don't blame Pogba for wanting to leave. How you go about it is important for me. In the same example I would give is this. I don't mind if Ollie wants to get rid of a player. That's Ollie's choice as manager. How Ollie goes about it. So do I want my manager slagging that player off in the public, talking about how, oh, he's not my striker, he isn't good enough? No, I think there's a behavior and there's a decorum and there's a way of going about this to make it right. And the reason why some people get infuriated with Mino Raiola is because they've been so brazen with the wanting to leave and it winds people up. But I also defend it to a certain degree. Like I said at the top of this stream, where somebody said, do you not think players should honour their contracts? No, because clubs don't honour the contracts of players they don't want anymore. So we have to have the same energy in both directions. When Man United want to get rid of Phil Jones and Rojo, no one's saying, what about the contracts? No one cares because you don't want those players. So we have to have the same energy. What I find is happening in debates all the time is polarization. My favourite player, Pogba, doesn't get treated with the same respect as Bruno, so I'm going to hate on Bruno to create this weird equilibrium. We've seen it right now with everything going on. You know, every kind of social debate that happens nowadays is polarization. It's my rapper's better than your rapper. My TV show's better than that TV show. Everything's polarized. It's like, yeah, I quite like all of them, to be fair. Like, I really like Bruno and I really like Paul Pogba. And I don't play one off against the other. I treat them like they're my kids. Like, I have got favorites, but I'd never let any of my kids know that, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the problem we are as a fan base. It's like, I want Bruno to be recognized the same as Pogba gets recognized, or I want Martial to get the same love that Rashford gets. That just isn't going to happen. But don't let that change your behavior, your attitude toward things. And I know this about Ites 100%. Ites hates on players who get, in his opinion, get more respect than his favorite players. It's so blatantly obvious. It's transparent like a window.
Terry, can I just say, I want to just say a couple of things about the Mino Raiola thing and the Haaland thing, because obviously Chelsea are linked with him as well. The way I see it, right, is I'll give you like a scenario, right? Imagine a girl sitting there, like the girl of your dreams, right? She's just sitting there, and the snake bit her, right? So what you have to do, right, is if you suck out the snake poison and you successfully do it and you don't die, you get the girl, right? That's how I see it. That's how I see it with Mino Raiola and Haaland. Because if you look at Haaland, he's exactly what we need. He's exactly what United need. He's someone who's, you could say he's on the way to being an elite striker. So my point is, are you willing to risk it with Raiola to have one of the best strikers that could be around? For me, it's a yes, because the kind of talent he has, it doesn't come around often. It comes often probably once in a second.
But you're being deluded.
Why?
Like, you're being deluded.
Why?
Look. Okay, Haaland the other day spoke out about a Real Madrid transfer, right? Raiola's been constantly speaking about this player leaving Dortmund. If that happened at United, there'll be an uproar from fans. But because of what he's doing, fans want to accept it.
So this is what it comes down to. I agree with what you're saying to a point. And it proves, when we didn't sign Haaland and everyone's like, in the mud. I'm like, no, we're not in the mud. We did the right thing by not offering the buyout clause. That buyout clause that was active within 2 years was the precursor to the auction that's going on right now. It's about how strong your club is. Dortmund, I don't care if Dortmund fans want to reject this. When it comes to you signing superstars, you're a bloody feeder club. Every top player that goes to your club moves on. Barring Marco Reus, and the only reason he stayed is because the geezer's made of biscuits, is they leave. Every top player leaves. If Man United sign Haaland, it's going to be wash, rinse, repeat Pogba situation. Every couple of years trying to get him better money. If we're going through a downturn and things aren't going right, whatever. The difference is the Chelsea board.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Man City board. I'm going to use them two as examples. And even Liverpool's board. I think they're strong enough, good enough negotiators, but equally better at managing relationships between agent and club to stop those things happening to the same degree. They just won't put up with it, but not in a sort of, I'm going to steam in with my size 15 boots on. It's you build up the respect before. Man United isn't. So Dortmund make a rod for their own back because they are a feeder club. The point of Haaland going there with the buyout clause was to put himself in the shop window to create an even bigger move this summer or next year. That's my view.
Terry, sorry.
So if he goes to Man United, Woodward and our board are so weak. They just let people walk all over them. We're doormat FC, bruv. They treat us like a doormat. Like they, are getting drunk at 2 a.m. Like this is how weak Ed Woodward is. If Woodward's wife came home at 2 a.m. drunk, I bet she could drag him out of bed and make him cook her dinner right then and there, and he'd go, yes, no problem. He's weak, bruv. He wouldn't just say fucking order a takeaway or get to bed. He'd get out of bed and he'd do it. He's weak. So there's a balance in these things. I don't think Chelsea would be walked over like Man United are walked over.
Yeah.
Are you thinking Diego Costa?
Hold on, bro. Now you're talking about Diego Costa and everything. Now, listen, you have to understand when it comes to Diego Costa, that's a completely different situation because it was a falling out with a manager. But what I wanted to say is, right, people talk about City and Chelsea. I understand money is what separates our clubs from your clubs. Of course, essentially, that is what it is. But what also separates it is a structure. You have to look at Chelsea. We have someone like Marina, and we brought in someone like Petr Cech. They work together. Now, Marina works on his transfers. Petr Cech works on performances, transfers. Someone like Eduard Mendy, who a lot of people don't think he's great, but someone who came in and did a job this season, came in because of the work that these two did. So when Iraola comes in and tries to negotiate for Haaland, they're not going to get bullied. But when you look at Man United, I'm not going to lie, someone like Ed Woodward, it's like, listen, it's like we have two defenders, right? When it comes to it's just one defender, you're going to go past him and you score a goal. It's easy. But when it comes to Man City, for example, they have someone like Khaldoon Mubarak who I'm not going to lie, if you listen to him talk, the way he talks about his club, the structure, it's actually it's brilliant. Like we have to realize it's not all about money, because Fulham spent 100 mil and they still went down.
I understand that. And Z, listen, I totally get where you're coming from, and it's not about overtly disagreeing. But Chelsea obviously had some bad experiences in the transfer market. Now, I don't know enough about this because I haven't educated myself enough on it. But then they've changed their structure behind the scene based on the bad performances of those individuals. So it was a gentleman that was there before Marina.
It was a Manolo.
Yeah. When you look at Manchester United, the problem is when you look at Man United, our board have failed and for 8 years, and we ain't made a fucking change. Like that's the point. And what would happen at Chelsea if Haaland comes in and Mino Raiola dominates that boardroom and they behave however they behave and say they do a Diego Costa and you see it in that way, this live in your theory for a minute, which is fine, they'd move the player on and Roman would get rid of the board members or the negotiators that allowed that to happen. You go, you're fucking done as well. I ain't having that weakness here. So it's almost this case of you're always going to get things happen. Liverpool right now, Liverpool for me are a well-run club. But they've made some mistakes this summer. They haven't brought in enough players, probably didn't spend enough money. Every club that's well run still makes mistakes. You know, we don't live in this world where Bayern Munich make every signing is perfect. Every appointment is perfect. Every manager they appoint in works out. We know that for a fact it doesn't happen. But it's how you react. It's the changes you make. It's do you do what Man United do and just continue to operate in the same way and expect different results with the same people in charge, or do you make changes? That's the difference. You can always find an example of, well, Chelsea got screwed over here, and Man City bought a wrong player here, and they had a spat with this agent. Of course it happens. Look what's going on with Man City and Yaya for a while. But it's rare. It's not happening year in, year out with different players.
Yeah.
That's what we've got to look at. It's the volume of examples we have over a period of time, which I think are key. I'm not quite sure how we got onto this around the Bruno Haaland thing when we're talking about what maybe it's about Bruno, disrespect. The point I would make is this, though. This story's come from the Sun. I don't even think it's true. Legitimately, I don't even think it's true. But again,
before we finish, Terry,
Aaron, 1 sec. It's why though. It's why the newspapers do this, because they know it kicks off these kind of conversations. People say, "Why are people angry with Bruno like they are with Pogba?" That's what it's done. People are angry with Bruno for a fake story from the racist newspaper, The Sun, because people are not attacking Bruno like they attack Pogba. Can't you see you're being played like a fiddle?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And you know what? To be fair, I just wanted to pop in a couple of seconds because there's a couple of little points that I just wanted to add in this stream because I felt like this was the opportunity to say this. First of all, congratulations, Coventry, on getting back at the Ricoh Arena. Secondly, I wanted to pay tribute to someone. Hang on, I wanted to pay tribute to someone because there was a young 17-year-old footballer from AFC Fylde called Luke Bennett, and he tragically passed away a couple of days ago. So I wanted to use the opportunity to send our hearts to his friends, his family, and AFC Fylde Football Club, because what happened to him shouldn't happen to anyone. So sorry, Terry, I just wanted to use the opportunity to say congratulations to Coventry. I want to pay tribute to Luke Bennett today. So I'm sorry for that, please.
So you're gonna say sorry. I appreciate that. But listen, ITS Z, great debate. Absolutely love it. Ads and everybody else. Pav that's on here, Slend, Aaron. I think that's everyone who's on here right now.
Sorry I interrupted a couple of times, but I just wanted to get those points out.
It's all right. I appreciate it. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you very, very much as always. Make sure you're smashing that like button, smashing the share button as well. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.